All right, I'm going to call the December 5th, 2023 Committee of the Whole to order. First on the agenda, roll call.
Commissioner DeLu,
Here.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
Here.
Commissioner Morales, Vice Chair Ray, not here, Commissioner Strebs,
Here.
Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler is absent, 7 present.
And I did hear from Commissioner Wheeler and Vice Chair Ray. They could not be in attendance this evening. Next on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the Board of Commissioners. Please give us your name, number, or name and address, and you have up to 3 minutes.
My name's Zachary Laster. You're not getting my address. You're not getting my number either, but you have it. I got this. You got it too, so don't be laughing. I'm here because I got a summons for a jury trial, even though we're not having jury trials. So I'm just sitting here wasting my time. I mean, come on, guys. You guys can't move a building without messing up like that. So yeah, I don't get paid to come off the road. And by the way, when I can only come off the road every once in a while. So you ruined my Thanksgiving. I had to be on the road for Thanksgiving for nothing. You guys knew you were going to have jury trials, but I had to come home anyway. Kind of sucks.
Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to address the board?
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor, honorable commissioners. My name is Michael Quinn. Live at 7025 Rockford Street in Portage. I noticed on my winter tax bills that they went up by almost $6 for the veterans millage. And I want to profoundly thank each of you for unanimously supporting putting that very popular millage on the ballot. I think it'll do a lot of good, and you did the right thing. What brings me here tonight is a request for a resolution that I hope you would consider and put on some future agenda, hopefully in the near future, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and Israel, and urging the Biden administration to use all its influence to implement that and make it a permanent ceasefire. The reasons, of course, are the just horrific slaughter of civilians and the increasing possibility of expanding the conflict to maybe World War III. So if all I ask is that you take a look at the resolution, and if it's something I think you could support, to add your voice to the voices of other municipal governments that are asking for a permanent ceasefire. And thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, my name is Steve Cesar. I'm a U.S. Senator. I used to work at Member of Congress with Mary. I had a letter recently from Mr. Biden. He said he'll put America first. He said that he's very optimistic, that I'm optimistic. I'm an enthusiast. I'm a very enthusiastic person. I was wondering if we can get on the subjects we talked about a couple of weeks ago about the budget. And we had many other subjects also. I wonder if we could kind of review maybe and kind of talk over. And there's a time and place for politics. And I guess this is sort of a place for me where politics is for me. I was born a politician. My grandmother recently passed away. Her birthday's today, and I want to God bless her soul. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to address the board? No problem.
Uphill too. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Kevin Traer. I'm the Michiana Area Vice President for the National Association of Postal Supervisors, and I've addressed you before. And I live at 8943 East DE Avenue in Richland. I'm here asking that this package that I have, an updated postal consolidations, be given to the clerk so that it can be passed out down the road at your convenience to all the commissioners. Inside this package is the latest letter from Congressman Huizenga and the response the USPS gave to him, which is basically nothing.
Public Law 109-435 that I feel that, and our association feels that the Postal Service and the Postmaster General is violated. And as commissioners in this county, you should be appalled by him not responding to anybody, not any government agency, except Congressman Heisinga's recent one. And you may have seen a MLive article that came out of Portage Council meeting at their last meeting, as I'm going to after this, which to me is an outright lie, because I do have data now that shows that they do know when and where and the dates and times that they were going to proceed with this now consolidation going through June 1st of the Kalamazoo Westwood Station, entire city operation of Portage and Schoolcraft slated for June 1st. What I'm asking for is I went to the Kalamazoo County Road Commission last week, because in here is their request for a traffic study to be done, which he totally ignored. And I'm asking that you ask Congressman Heisinga and Congressman Wahlberg, because now Schoolcraft is part of Wahlberg's area, that they comply with the county's request for the traffic survey. At this particular point, I've added it up. There'll be at least 200 vehicles plus, probably 250, going in and out of there at a certain time in the morning and in the afternoon onto 9th Street with no traffic control. This isn't how it used to be when it was a 24/7 operation where things come and go as they, had people different schedules. These carriers will be coming and going at a certain time of the day. And this traffic will impact 9th Street, as you all know, out there, as busy as it is. I was the last manager out there in 2016. On a good day, you can't even make a left-hand turn in and out of there. So I'm asking that this be put in there. And also in the back is a copy of City Manager McGinnis's letter to Heisinga. And at the time, Mayor Randall was actually speaking to the congressman in his office in Portage. I actually was leaving her a voicemail letting her know that her office was just impacted. So another piece of information that's already bad enough is they meter dated that letter on the 3rd. It was canceled in Grand Rapids on the 3rd. And I'm embarrassed to say I reached it on the 10th. So with all of this, I don't know if I'm over my time.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
you
I just
could-
want to be able to leave this.
Yeah, if you could leave that there and then we can make copies for all the commissioners to read.
Yes, and I appreciate all of your support for for veterans. I put signs out in 5 counties, so thank you.
Thank you.
5 counties.
To say only one of the counties could vote for it.
We'll get all their money. Then. Thank you all. Had a good evening.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to address the board? Kevin, there are no recorded phone calls today. Okay, well, next we have our interview for the Central County Transportation Authority. Looks like I got to reload my computer. There we go. Jeff Radke, is he available either online, Zoom, or in person?
Chair, it appears we have not heard from that applicant, so I believe we can go to the next one.
Okay. So. Yes.
I wonder, I think we've tried to reschedule with the applicant before. And I don't know, maybe he will have opportunity to present, but I don't know if we want to deliberate. We've interviewed other candidates for that position, I think is my understanding, one some time ago, if I'm remembering right.
Is Commissioner Strips correct that we've deliberated? Because I do recall, this is the 3rd, I believe, rescheduled interview for Mr. Radke. Am I correct in that?
Dina, may you opine on that, please?
Yes, this would have been the 3rd reschedule for him, and he is the only applicant for this sector, so we could open that back up for applicants to apply.
I certainly would be in favor of opening that back up for applicants to apply for the 3rd sort of interview. Is this board good with that? Okay. So now we're moving on to the next section. Transportation, Kalamazoo County Transportation Authority, Denisha Moore. Is she available per Zoom? Or we already interviewed her? We interviewed, we need James Ayers. Is he available? Oh, okay. Okay. James, if you want to just give like a 30 to 60-second intro of yourself, and then we'll start with Commissioner questions with Commissioner DeLu.
Sure thing. My name is James Ayers. I moved with my family, my wife and son, to Kalamazoo City. I live on the east side in 2021. I recently ran for city commission, did not win, but it was a great learning experience there. I'm involved at the East Side Neighborhood Association. I'm an administrator and coordinator for a radiation safety company here in Kalamazoo. As my current job, a background in philosophy and science from Hope and Grand Rapids Community College, and I have also been a lab technician. So trying to bring technical skills to bear, reading and writing, communication, do a lot of regulatory compliance at my current job. That's the nutshell version.
Commissioner DeLu.
Okay, great. Thank you for your interest, Mr. Ayers. So what do you know about this advisory board and why are you interested in serving on it?
It's a good question. As far as the board itself, I know just what's on the county website. And looking at some of the other advisory boards at the city and county level and the volunteer capacity, I really like that occurs here. It's an excellent way to get involved in government, and that's one of the reasons I would like to be involved. I also think the public transportation is a public good, and I would like to foster and contribute to managing that and growing that as best as I'm able. Yeah.
James, I'm John Gisler. I service so that I can look them in the eye in District 6. And thank you for being here. What experience do you have that's related to the work of the advisory board? Although this is an authority, I guess. This could be professional experience you have or from the community.
Good question. So like I said, I'm an administrator and coordinator, and I know that can mean a lot of different things, but I'm in email all day. I wrangle spreadsheets all day. I don't know how much of that is involved with the board, but the end result of that is I have a lot of experience in talking to people, pulling all the relevant details together, digesting it, summarizing it, putting it back out, and creating action items based upon it, which in my experience is a useful skill set in all kinds of areas. I also used to be a lab technician and know the importance of record keeping, and especially being a public serving body, making sure that there's transparency there. So those are a couple of skill sets that I can bring to the office.
Excellent, thank you.
Commissioner Mazer.
Hi, I'm Wendy Mazer, District 8. Share what you have learned from working with people from different cultures.
That's a great question. Respect for difference and joy in sharing. I love meeting people. I love trying new things. I think the biggest or the most important lesson I think I've learned is that the way I'm used to doing it is not the right way. There needs to be room for difference, and the respect that comes there is more than just agree to disagree. It can be reconsidering how I've always done it and perhaps doing it a new way that's better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What training or education have you received in diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice? And how will you use what you have learned in your work in this advisory board?
Thank you. So I'm a 2-year veteran of AmeriCorps and about 3 years just shy of Gap Inc. I was a supervisor at Banana Republic Factory Store, so I had both the AmeriCorps training involved there, and then at the corporate level, the training and human resources there. So I've done a fair bit of self-learning, and so I think humility and respect are the 2 words that I would say, what could I bring based upon that? It's understanding that I don't come in knowing everything, and I need to have an open mind and if I am corrected on a way I've said something or on a way I've presented something, that I can take that correction without being offended by it, and I can reframe and reapproach and know that the ego that's at stake is the least important part of the equation.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Hepler. I represent District 7, north part of Kalamazoo County, Cooper, Richland, Ross, Charleston. My question tonight is number 5. What do you expect the advisory board authority to give to the community, and how can you help the work of the advisory board authority?
I think that it would be an incredible gift if Kalamazoo City County was truly car optional. That's, I think, the way the world needs to go. Cars are convenient, but they're messy, they're polluting, they're expensive. And what can I help there? I can learn what I can work hard, I can keep an open mind, and I can be a servant. That's the primary reason for applying, is I believe in service.
Mr. Morales.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome. What are 3 things that a member of the advisory board or authority should consider?
So I think we need to look at where we've been, where we're going, and then where are we now in relation to those. Compare public feedback and sentiment with internal metrics, and then ask, what can we do better?
Thank you.
Thanks for your interest, Mr. Ayers. I'm Commissioner Strebs. I represent District 2. My question for you is, what do you think is the greatest strength that you bring forward to the advisory board?
I think organization and attention to detail. It's as I mentioned, I'm on email all the time. I'm sure that the people in this room don't get here without being on email all the time, and there's nothing more annoying than not having all of the questions you ask answered and then having to have 4 to 6 replies that could have been said in one. So I think that the strength that I have is understanding to read the whole chain and then answer once. I don't know how much email is involved in the advisory capacity there, but I think that respect for time and organizing things well goes a long way.
I'll do the last 2. Are you available for the meeting dates, times associated with this advisory board authority?
It looked online. It's 11:30 a.m. second Monday.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay, then yes. My work schedule is flexible, so I could step away for a meeting and come back or participate on Zoom, whichever is easier.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
I was a little curious on the CCTA versus KCTA, but I don't need to take up the time here. So I can do that on my own or ask it later.
It's certainly the director would do a much better job of explaining it, but it's 2 different millage rates basically.
Okay.
And one is more of a demand service and one is more point-to-point service.
Okay.
So that it's 2 different funding sources, but it's under the same sort of administration. So it's kind of a hybrid model, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Okay.
The meetings are big.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, well, we've interviewed 3 people and I believe there are 2 positions, correct? Dina or Jen? Yeah, okay. So I guess discussion amongst the board, I'll open it up for deliberation on Commissioner DeLue and then Commissioner Gissler.
Yeah, I serve on the Board Appointments Committee, and I place a lot of weight on resumes because, as I've kind of stated before, we do interviews, but they're given the questions beforehand, so it's kind of not a good measure to me. And excuse me, these interviews and resumes, I mean, I think we started discussing this back in April or something to that effect. So I can even tell you back then that my, out of the 3 people, my choices, my very first choice was Isaiah Williams, and then Mr. Ayers, and then Miss Moore. So two out of 3, I'm leaning towards Mr. Williams and Mr. Ayers. And that's, I don't know if you guys have been able to see the resumes, unfortunately, they're not included, I don't think, in this packet.
They are included in our civic clerk. If we go into our civic clerk on our computer, and you get into it, but there's a lot of clicking involved, but you can get there.
So that's just my recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. I see our Director of Transit in the audience. We could maybe ask Sean to step up and have a few words. He could also explain the difference between CCTA and KCTA, although you did a masterful job, Chair.
Oh, I can do it at a 1,000,000-foot level. He can get down into the weeds.
So I'll try and make this short. In 2016, well, before that, public transit's been run by the city of Kalamazoo for almost 50 years. In 2016, the transit system was transferred to the CCTA through a cooperative regional discussion. So the CCTA is the millage district that oversees and provides funding for the fixed route bus system, includes the city of Kalamazoo, Portage, Kalamazoo Township, Comstock Township, part of Oshkosh Township, and city of Parchment. So 6 jurisdictions. They have a 11-member board. And then we also have the KCTA. They were formed in approximately 2006. They provide funding for countywide on-demand fixed route or Metro Connect services. A lot of communities called Dial-A-Ride. These 2 boards have been working together since almost 2016, that they meet jointly and make decisions jointly on policies related to public transit.
Sure.
So it was a couple meetings ago, we received, I think, a request from the Parchment mayor to be part of the CCTA. I think that's correct. And so we had an opening and the individual didn't show. Would he take that spot if we chose to him? Is that up to us? If you can explain. I don't know if we can make that decision or.
We could go on forever here. I could take hours explaining how this all came about, but the CCTA has particular appointments by jurisdiction for that board. So the city of Kalamazoo has 3, city of Portage has 2, Comstock Township has 1, Kalamazoo Township has 1, Oshkosh Township has 1. And then there's some at-large positions that are direct appointments by this board. Those at-large appointments are for 1 urban position and 2 rural positions. The CCTA appointment is for the 1 rural position. And the requirement for that rural position is that you're located outside the boundaries of the CCTA. And then on the KCTA side, all those appointments are directly by this body, and there's really no limits or rules on who you appoint for those positions. There are 2 vacancies currently for that board. And I think the one requirement is that they must be a resident of the county.
Yeah, and the position that in question with the city of Parchment would be the requirement that it's from an urban district appointed by this board. And the request from Parchment would be to change that language from urban district to the city of Parchment, mostly because Oshkosh, all these other people that have fixed routes have a designated representative. Now, it so happens that the urban representative that this board has chosen is the mayor of Parchment. So, trying to keep that sort of continuity, that's probably a discussion that we should have in the future. I don't see an immediate need in that. We're not trying to get rid of the mayor of the city of Parchment, but I think structurally, it's a conversation we as a board should probably have. Is that a best?
Okay. Yes, and since the beginning, that urban position has gone to a parchment elected official. And there are requirements in the CCT Articles of Incorporation that if we do change the jurisdictional balance, that it requires the input and tacit approval of the participating jurisdictions.
Mhm. So if we were to change that, we'd have to get okays from the city of Kalamazoo, the township, Ashton, all the other. Commissioner Strips.
Thank you, Chair. So just to bring us kind of back to the discussion about our candidates, I want to just try to clarify with Dina if possible. So I see Denisha Moore, we interviewed her on the 21st. Mr. Ayers this evening. Mr. Simon has withdrawn interest, but listed separately is the interview for Mr. Williams, which was conducted in April. And I wonder, he's not listed above as a candidate. Is he still interested? Is that just sort of an oversight on the bar form? If you could clarify.
Commissioner Straubs, that would just be an oversight on my part.
Okay, so thank you, Dina. So with that, Chair, I think, we're always fortunate to have members of the public step forward and be of interest. I think looking at what the KCTA and CCTA, what the Director McBride has elevated, what he's looking for, those sort of community connections, the understanding of the transit system, helping to bring in, additional experiences and perspectives to the board. So with that, I would like to advocate for Mr. Isaiah Williams and Miss Denisha Moore to move forward for appointment with sincere thanks to other interested parties as well.
Thank you. Well, we've got two for Mr. Williams, and I do believe Dina did send an email with the interview posted to it. It was a while back. I think it was 2 meetings ago, but I do recall watching that again. So I've got two for Isaiah Williams, one for Mr. Ayers and one for Mr. Moore. Any other commissioners that want to weigh in? Miss Moore, sorry. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Gissler.
Yes, I liked everything that James had to say tonight, and I'm particularly partial to his hairline. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Mazer, if you want to follow that.
Yes, I too agree. I'd support Mr. Ayers and also Mr. Williams.
Any other, Commissioner Morales?
I am leaning towards Isaiah and Denisha, specifically just seeing her work in the community. I think, and thank you, Mr. Ayers, but in 2 of the questions, I just feel like culturally and the work with training and diversity and inclusivity was a little dry. And Denisha really has that on the ground footwork, being from District 1 and knowing this bus system and the needs of our community. Her resume might not speak, she's a little young, so it might not, for us mature eyes, it might not seem like she's ready, but she's a hard worker, and that's where the 2 of my supports, especially with Mr. Williams waiting since April, we got to do better. Just because we don't want to lose good people and they go on to different boards and we have to do this process again, or for people to think that we're not serious, that's a long time to wait. So those are my 2 recommendations. Thank you.
I was just going to clarify, Chair, is it the intent of the Committee of the Whole to act on the appointment this evening?
No, my intent is to try to garner a consensus so that I could put a motion on the later thing so that I can
Okay,
get.
thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Yep. Commissioner Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. So basically I've got, it looks like the hands down is for Isaiah Williams. It's split 3-3 on the second one between Ayers and Moore. So I guess we'll have, we'll put Isaiah Williams on the consent agenda. And then on Ayers and Moore, we can vote upon it at the 7 o'clock and make the final determination. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And then moving on, we've got Discover Kalamazoo presentation. Jane.
Excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jane Ghosh, President and CEO of Discover Kalamazoo, and I'm very proud to and pleased to be here with you this evening to give you an update. I have two agenda items today. One is last time I came for a longer presentation was about a year ago this time, and we presented our 2023, what we call our greenhouse, our strategies for growth. So I'm here to give you an update on 2023 and then let you know what changes we're making for 2024. And then, of course, to ask you, answer any questions you might have. So, and thank you very much, Dina, for advancing the slides here. So if you could go to the next one, those are the two topics, and then go ahead. Thank you. So this was our 2023 strategies that we presented a year ago in December of 2022. And at that time, you'll see at the top, our objective was to get back, our North Star is visitor spending. So the money that people who don't live in Kalamazoo County come here, they spend that money that supports the businesses, the restaurants, the attractions that residents can then enjoy, that vibrant community, as well as providing almost 10,000 jobs here in Kalamazoo County. So that's our North Star, is that visitor spending. And when we set our goal at that time, we didn't yet know what 2021 visitor spending was. If you could go to the slide, I didn't get that information until January. And we learned that in 2021, we'd actually exceeded our 2023 visitor spending, which was our goal for 2023. We'd hope to do that, to accomplish that by 2023. And you can see that we actually recovered very quickly from the pandemic and hit an all-time high. And Dina, on the next slide, you can see that we were actually the second fastest growing county in Michigan when you look at visitor spending in 2021 versus 2020. So that was something we were, really, really pleased to see. And then we just recently, our 2022 visitor spending numbers. And if you could go to that next slide. We weren't sure what was going to happen in 2022 because we had such a high growth in 21, and we'd heard a lot of discussion about there being pent-up demand for travel coming out of the pandemic. And we actually thought it was possible that our 2022 would stay flat or even dip a little bit. So to see that we actually grew 17% in visitor spending in 2022 after that 2021 was something we were kind of delighted to see. We had an inkling that it was going in the right direction when we, the hotel accommodations tax revenue was something that we can see on a monthly basis. So we had an inkling we were going in the right direction, but to see, all of that growth, especially, continuing growth in food and beverage, for example, which is our number one category. And we know that every county in Michigan, had a different experience during the pandemic. A couple of them actually didn't decline in 2020 because, in the pandemic, more outdoor oriented places did very well. We had great growth. Some counties didn't even recover until 2022, the ones who are more reliant on really big meetings and international business. So we feel like one of the best ways to measure how we are comparing to our peer set is to look at 2022 visitor spending compared to 2019 pre-pandemic. And on this next slide, you can see, in 2022 this is 2022 versus 21, excuse me, still, we're the seventh fastest growing county of the 83. And, but that's 22 versus 21. The next slide actually shows on the right-hand side, the total amount of visitor spending, and on the vertical axis, our growth versus 2019. And as you can see, of any counties with any significant amount of visitor spending, we're actually the fastest growing county here in Kalamazoo County of the 83. So all the ones kind of to the left of us on that chart are much smaller in terms of visitor spending, 100 million, 150 million, whereas we're about 600 million. And the ones to the right of us, which have more visitor spending, aren't growing as fast as we are. So we think that, we're very grateful for all of our partners. No one comes to Kalamazoo County to see Discover Kalamazoo. They come to see our restaurants, our attractions, the fun events, the wonderful things that happen with our partners. So we're really delighted for all the partnership that we have to achieve these results. And because we are, growing very fast, what that means is we're actually outperforming what we would consider kind of our near-in peer set. So on the left shows all the counties in Michigan, which in 2017 had visitor spending between $400 million and $500 million. And as you can see, we really are kind of outpacing that the counties with similar size of visitor spending. So again, kudos to our partners who are attracting these visitors and again, supporting. The most important thing is it's the economic benefit we have here in the county, supporting the jobs, supporting, the employment income and creating a vibrant community for residents to enjoy. So now I'll go through we've got 5 strategies. I'll go through kind of how we're performing against each of them. The first is to win that, that casual road trip. And what we can see in our geolocation data is that the visitors who are coming here, so that the people who are coming here from more than 50 miles away and stay at least 150 minutes are up, the frequency is slightly down. So that means we believe that means we're getting more new visitors, which is absolutely our goal, is to get more new visitors because eventually we believe they'll have a great experience and they will come back. So the pure visitors are up and the frequency is down on our first strategy. And our second and there's a video here that if you have access to to this, you can see it, but you can go ahead on. That's one of the new advertisements that we have, but we'll carry on. Next slide, please. There we go. So our second strategy, it was to basically increase the diversity of our visitors across all of our work streams. So we are very focused on leisure marketing, but we also have a business development team that brings in visitors for meetings and sports. And I would say on this one, we've not moved the needle on this yet. So you can see 2022 year-to-date visitation versus 2023. And we are still predominantly, most of our visitors are white, and we have not grown people of color as a percentage of total visitation. But as I say not yet because it's a long process, and we are very grateful to have the American Rescue Plan funds that we were granted by the county. And if you could go to the next slide, Dina, again, thank you for that. Though that is helping us invest in things which we strongly believe will increase the diversity of our visitors as we go forward. So the next few slides show the first couple. These are trade shows that, thanks to the American Rescue Plan funds, we've been able to attend that we have not attended in the past. So this is Compete Sports Diversity. The next slide is more on the leisure side, a tourism summit on multicultural and international heritage. And so there's trade shows. And as a result of those trade shows, we've been able to bid on a number of events we've never bid on before. So again, for these, these groups are looking for any place in the country where they could host their event. Our team works with the venues to put together a bid package, and we try to get them to choose Kalamazoo County as their location for their event. This is an example of one we bid on business yet, but we hope to. And then the last one here is an example of a business actually we did win. So this was something we've never had before. We went to a trade show, we found about the opportunity, we bid on it, and this business, the Black American Cheer Association camp, will be happening here in Kalamazoo County for the first time, which is very exciting. And again, all that funded by the American Rescue Plan. And then another way that we are using those dollars is to bring in influencers. So this is more on the leisure side. And Dina, you can just kind of click through these. These are examples of influencers that we brought here in 2023 who specifically are talking about Kalamazoo County to their diverse audiences, and each of them diverse in a different way. So we feel very good about that. And another thing that the American Rescue Plan funds have funded for the first time ever. I'm sorry, could you go back, please? For the first time ever, Discover Kalamazoo, we've previously had an electronic copy of our travel guide in Spanish, but I'm delighted to share with you now, we have our travel guides printed in Spanish. So everything in the travel guide is in Spanish, including even the advertisements. And this we would not have without the American Rescue Plan funding that you gave us. So we actually paid El Concilio to do the translation for us so that we could make sure that the dollars are staying in our community. So we think it is great and hopefully will help us move the needle on Hispanic visitors. Thank you, Dina, very much. Oops. Oh, not thank you. I'm done, but thank you. You can move to the next slide. Sorry. Excellent. Our third strategy is about really, we say future proofing. So bringing in, instead of just having the same business year after year after year, you're all familiar with the car shows, the dog shows, the tennis, like how do we get new business to keep filling the top of that funnel? And we have this year, so far year to date, there's still new leads coming in. We are bidding after 18 new pieces of business on the meeting side and actually 34 new pieces of business on the sports side, including on the sports side, things like boxing, bowling. This year we hosted the Pepsi State Finals bowling, which we had not hosted before, CrossFit. So again, just sports that we haven't had here in Kalamazoo. We are very heavily concentrated right now in hockey, wrestling, tennis, soccer, and we really believe there's an opportunity to diversify the sports that we bring in and the meetings. Okay, next slide, please. Our fourth strategy is resident and partner development. And I believe I spoke to you last year about our tourism ambassador program that we were launching, Tourism Academy. We now have 65 trained ambassadors that have gone through that program on the resident side. And the biggest group actually is the student ambassadors at Western Michigan University and K College. So they have we had a few of them take the training, and then they have recommended it to their peers who run the student group tours when students are coming to visit campus. And I actually think that's great because that's going to help us actually. They're able to talk to both the students and their families about all the cool things there are to do in Kalamazoo County and actually hopefully drive up student recruitment. That's not the only, that's the only group, but it's the biggest group of people that are training it. The other big group is the frontline hospitality workers at the hotels. And also on the partner development, and I have mentioned these before, and I'll just, if you don't mind passing these out, but just, every month we print out postcards that we send primarily to restaurants to let them know what big groups are coming into town that they should be prepared for. So if you had been downtown last week, you would have seen, this is a group we have every year. We have the high school Model UN, the Great Lakes Conference for Model United Nations. And they aren't served lunch at the Radisson. So when they're here in town for those couple of days, they go to all the restaurants downtown and they need to have a place to eat. And the restaurants aren't used to that business on those days. And so by, letting them know in advance, they can staff up for that. So that's another thing we're doing on the partner development. And then Dina, next slide, please. And then you are very familiar with this project, but obviously we worked in close partnership with South of Michigan First on the event center, which we are super excited to have over the line. So that's 2023, kind of a year in review. And now I'll take you briefly through the changes we're making as we look into 2024. We haven't accomplished everything on our to-do list. And so really it's more about tweaks than a wholesale evolution of our strategy. So the first is that objective. So as I mentioned, we actually achieved our 2023 objective in 2021. So we need to set up a new objective. And this year going forward, we are going to define our objective as Kalamazoo County's share of Michigan visitor spending. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you're all aware of the Pure Michigan campaign. There's no dedicated funding source for that. Their funding varies every year. There's actually been a year or two where they have had no funding. And this year they have less funding coming into 2024 than they had in 2023. Well, we know that drives consideration for all the destinations in Michigan, and we have no control over that. So if their funding goes up or goes down, our visitation might go up or down, and we can't control it. Another thing is about half of our visitors actually come from within Michigan. If Michigan's population grows or declines, again, that's something we don't really have control of. So we thought that to kind of equalize the playing field and think about our objective, the factors that affect all the counties in Michigan, that we would look at our share of visitor spending. And so you can see on this next slide what our share has been historically. So for years, we were hovering around a 2% share of visitor spending. The last couple of years, we've gone up closer to about 2.5% share of visitor spending. And so we've agreed to set our goal to hopefully achieve 3% share of visitor spending within the state of Michigan. And I believe we're at about 2.5, 2.6% of Michigan's population. So that would mean historically we've been kind of undershared. Not every community in Michigan is equally attractive to visitors, so it's not the best kind of framework. But anyway, historically we've kind of been undershared, and now we're at our kind of fair share, and the goal would be to get to, overshared have more than our fair share of visitor spending. Okay, and this is how we're going to get there, at least for the next couple of years. The first, coming back again to that casual road trip. This is the other big thing that your American Rescue Plan grant has funded for us. We have brought on a new agency called KPS3. They've been our paid search agency for about 2 years now. And we did an RFP. We actually had 8 agencies, national agencies, bid on our business. And after a very rigorous process, we chose KPS3, and they are well underway in developing really basically a new advertising campaign that we look forward to sharing with you. It'll take a few months yet till we're ready to have it, but when we have it, we look forward to sharing it with you. And then the next is, we've got really exciting news on attracting diverse audiences across all work streams. We are partnering with Disability Network Southwest Michigan to bring in Wheel the World as a partner. Wheel the World is a group that focuses on letting people with various accessibility needs know what they will encounter when they get to a specific destination. So if they have a very specific, just a tangible example, if they use a wheelchair and need a wheelchair lift underneath the hotel, they can say that they need that, and then on the wheeltheworld.com platform, they'll only be shown hotels that meet their accessibility, that particular need. And so we are going to be working together with Disability Network to bring them in to do a community audit so that we can get that information for our own website as well as for their website. So we're very excited about that, but that's one of many kind of initiatives we're going to do because we still recognize that we have not yet met our goal of increasing the diversity of visitors to Kalamazoo County. The next is, again, still the same headline about future proofing on the meetings and sports. We do go to trade shows. About half of my team is actually in the business development team, and they're out pounding the pavement across the country every day to get business to come in here. But there are also online platforms, and that can be a way to get new business more efficiently. And so we have been experimenting a little bit, and we are increasing our investment in Cvent on the meeting side and Play Easy on the sport side, because we found that it can bring us business, and in many cases, businesses that we wouldn't otherwise have had access to. So we're excited about that investment. One new piece of business that we are getting is the Pure Michigan Governors Conference on Tourism, which is coming here to Kalamazoo County in April of 2024. All the entire industry focused on tourism is going to be right here in our backyard, and we are very excited to have won that piece of business. They have been for many years on a cycle between Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Detroit, and now for the first time in a very long time, they're coming to Kalamazoo County. And then fourth, on resident and partner development, we're still going to carry on with our ambassador training. We have a robust volunteer program we're developing, but I wanted to share, we've added one kind of element to this, which is talent attraction. So you may be familiar with the You Can in Michigan campaign. Michigan's very focused on how we increase population, and talent attraction is a big piece of that. So this You Can in Michigan campaign is focused on talent attraction, but we all know that it starts with a visit. No one moves to a community without visiting first. So that talent attraction campaign is actually, we believe, going to also help drive just visitation to Kalamazoo County. And so we partnered with Southwest Michigan First to make sure that that campaign had all the resources that they needed to make that as valuable as possible. So if you go to the You Can in Michigan, if you may not be aware of this, I'm delighted to tell you, if this is the first you're hearing it, that the Southwest Michigan region in that campaign is actually called the Kalamazoo region, which is awesome. And if you go on there, you'll see links including to the Discover Kalamazoo website and some other kind of brag points that will hopefully have people think about visiting, but ideally, eventually kind of moving to our community. And then lastly, on the destination development, very happy to have the event center now. Ground has been broken on the parking deck and everything, so that's well underway. So now we are kind of moving on to the next big thing. The feasibility study that showed the potential for the event center also showed that there was potential for an incremental amateur and youth sports facility in our community. So we commissioned an additional feasibility study, and we cast the net very wide. They could have told us kind of anything, but this is another facility that could host, tournaments on the weekends and be available for local use during the week. And far and away, they felt that the biggest opportunity was an indoor hard court facility that you can see there, the diagram of their recommendation. 8 full-size basketball courts or 16 volleyball courts with some additional turf field. And that is, that opportunity has almost the same economic impact as the event center for a tiny fraction, of the cost. And so our next step is to see where in the county it makes sense for that facility to go. We've identified shortlisted 7 or 8 sites. We've currently put out a proposal to a site selection company, an RFP. And once we choose that, then we will go on and get those sites evaluated. And when we think we have a viable opportunity, we will be coming back for further discussions on that. But we think it could be a very great for our community, both for local use and for hosting more tournaments here, but basketball, volleyball, those type of things. Okay. And then the only other change we've made to our greenhouse is at the bottom, data-driven. I think that's what you expect from us, and that's what we deliver. We're always focused on the data and measuring, and we try new things. We're not afraid to fail. If they don't work, then we pivot and we move on, and always with that North Star of visitor spending in mind. And with that, that's our 24 plans. I'll just let you know, I should have told you this beforehand, but I hope all of you might come to our annual meeting on December 13th at Bell's. And if you were paying close attention, you'll have an advantage in the quiz.
And it's a fun meeting. I've been to them in the past. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. Jane, thank you for a super presentation. Always it is, but this was, I think, better than usual even. Can you tell me, are you still involved in the brewery passport project, or has that come and gone?
And we are absolutely still involved. There are we call it the Give a Craft passport. It's online now. We actually expanded it to the full, let's say 269 area code. So all the way territorial brewery in Battle Creek, all the way to the Three Blondes out in South Haven, so that, because we recognize, especially in people from Chicago, oftentimes go to the lakeshore and they don't keep going east. And so we thought by including them in our passport, we could actually get some of their visitors, coming in our direction. So that is absolutely still very much a live initiative. And then we also, Discover Kalamazoo doesn't put on a lot of our own events. We support other people. We help other people with their events. The one event that we do that's just, a Discover Kalamazoo event is Kalamazoo Craft Beverage Week, which the last couple of years we've synced up with when the Brewers Guild is in town for their meeting. And so I don't have the dates, but it is coming up the 2nd or 3rd week of January will be Kalamazoo Craft Beverage Week. And last year we had over 100 events across the community and across all of the county. I personally participated in a euchre competition at Gull Lake Distillery. So I hope I get a chance for a second go at that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple questions. One for Black Cheer, do we have the dates for that?
I don't, but I can respond to you and get them for you.
Okay.
It's 2024 or 5, I think. It's not, it's a ways out yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then you were on that lighting committee with me, and we had some little pushback here, as you know, with the county. A couple concerns were, I can't think of what are the bucks called?
Downtown dollars?
Downtown dollars. There was concern that 2 African-American establishments weren't included in that list. I'm not sure if they were addressed. If so, I didn't see it, or is there a process? And that was for Dabney and Experience. And if they were addressed, has that been resolved?
Yeah. So just to clarify, so the county, when we had the Michigan Society of Association Executives here in town, which was a meeting we were really excited to be hosting, the county actually contributed as a welcome gift downtown dollars so that attendees could go out and explore, the area. And we executed it by purchasing we purchased the downtown dollars and made sure that they were distributed. We do not run the downtown dollars program. It was formerly the Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership, and now it's the city of Kalamazoo that run that program. But that said, I did confirm with the city that right now there was a lag between when the Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership essentially, lost their management agreement with the city of Kalamazoo, or the DDA, was around the time that Dabney and Company and the Experience were opening. And in that interval, when there was no one kind of watching the shop, there was not a lot of outreach to businesses. So businesses would have had to, any business can participate, but they have to go and register on the website. And I did provide that to Administrator Catlin, the
Okay,
link on the
perfect.
website.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, when the Michigan Association of Counties, I've heard nothing but compliments
counties,
from
that's
my
right.
colleagues from other areas of the state. So they enjoyed Kalamazoo and they enjoyed the downtown Kalamazoo experience as well. So kudos to you and your staff.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. See no other questions from commissioners. Thank you for the great
Okay.
work.
December 13th at Bell's. Doors open at 4. The meeting starts at 4:30. We look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you.
And it's usually over by 4:35 too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have any other, Ryan Post, Finance Director, review of payable and payroll disbursements.
Thank you. Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Commissioners, an accounts payable claims list totaling $5,346,638.78 is presented for review. Of this total, the Board of Commissioners is asked to approve claims totaling $4,450,881.25. Payroll disbursements totaling $3,563,662.66 are presented for the November 24th general, November 28th special, and November 30th elected payrolls. Additionally, there are no conflicts of interest with this set of claims, and there were a total of 3 checks reissued due to various reasons, such as an incorrect check amount, the original check being rejected by a financial institution, and a damaged check.
Any questions from commissioners? Thank you very much. Next, review, any other items is the review of the ordinance and resolution to dissolve the Kalamazoo Metropolitan Planning Commission. We've talked about this a couple different times. Kevin, if you want to elaborate or, we've talked about this a few times, just making sure everybody's aware that what we're doing. Any questions from commissioners? Okay. Next is financial policy revision to the credit card policy. Carol or Kevin? Carol?
Yes, again, in summary, that this policy changes some language which currently allows for departments to not pass through or pay for those credit card associated fees as an option. That was, as the last meeting discussed and lobbied by the treasurer, that he would like for the county to absorb all those fees and not have residents pay for those. The change in policy mandates the departments, all departments, to actually take steps to charge a convenience fee to cover all associated fees. So the point of this conversation is to obtain direction from the board in which direction the board would want for the county to pursue. If they make no change, again, the departments then have the option. What we're requesting is that they budget for those fees. Corporation Counsel, please.
Thank you, Chair, if that is acceptable, and Deputy Administrator Cole. At the last meeting, when this issue came up and was before this body, we did talk about that I was going to conduct legal research into whether it is legally permissible for the county to bear that cost and have departments budget for that amount. And I have not had the opportunity to do that yet, so we still need to conduct that legal review before we take action and decide whether or not we're going to make a decision on having departments absorb that cost. It is a convenience fee charge for a specific action, which is the convenience of using a credit card. And I have some legal concerns about the ability on a long-term and policy driven decision to do that, especially for taxpayers who aren't using credit cards or don't elect to incur that cost or don't wish to. On the other side is we're still trying to get a copy of the contract from Michigan retailers. We got additional information today, an update from the county clerk It's graciously looking to assist with that and provide information that we may be on a month-to-month basis, but there should be a written document. So we're working to get a copy of that, and that'll assist in my legal review to determine, why is it that Michigan Retailers has been unable to help us in passing any such costs along, because the original policy as written does already require that. And this was just to clarify the language within that policy, and to make it clearer by breaking it out in sections numbered 1 and 2, and to make it clear that we shouldn't be absorbing the fees, but there are identified issues to continue to discuss in that, and part of it comes from information we don't have yet from Michigan Retailers. So.
Fair enough. Questions, Commissioner Krebs? And then-
Thank you, Chair. I watched the debate we previously had on this item while I was away, and I appreciate the robust discussion. So I just want to weigh in on that. So a couple of things that I noted sort of didn't get elevated. It's referred to, in the industry as a convenience fee, but interacting with a credit or debit card is typically the norm. It is also something that often low-income individuals who may be outside of the traditional banking system sometimes only receive their pay on pay cards, that they interact in this way with vendors. I myself, when I'm out in the community and I'm using my debit card to make point of sale exchanges, the places that typically charge me a fee are, convenience stores or very low budget sort of enterprises. And so, really thinking about having to face that fee while interacting with government, when the only other place I'm gonna sort of run into that fee typically is at a quick stop, gas station. And some people who, are of limited means, utilizing a credit card to make certain payments isn't a convenience, it is a necessity for them. This is the only manner that they have to make a payment. And I think sometimes we maybe forget that reality when we find ourselves being people not in financial circumstances like that. When I heard the treasurer in particular talk about, the foreclosure process and the potential of that additional cost burden being a barrier for people, that creates big concern for me. And additionally, other types of payment like check are not necessarily reliable for the county. It's our convenience as well to receive debit payments. Money's received quicker, in which it begins to earn and accrue interest in our accounts. It becomes reliable for us. So really, when you think about how other vendors in the community who have similar contracts where there's a fee associated with using the technology, that's assumed as a cost of them doing business. When we talk about passing these fees on to taxpayers, the people showing up and using their debit cards, they're taxpayers. There's lots of associated fees with doing our work. Everybody pays their tax bills already. They're already paying. We have overages, carryovers rather. So I think thinking about the security, and when council further researches the issue as well, what about those other associated fees with checks? For example, there is a cost of processing those checks. That's a person could come in with cash rather than a check. So what's the viability of those fees then being passed forward through standard accounting practices? So those were things that came to my mind as I heard our dialogue. I would not like to see these additional fees passed on to the public, but for us to budget accordingly as a cost of our doing business. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? I'll just speak briefly on this. Kind of got to the same result as you, Commissioner Krebs, different reasons, but my thoughts were on this what is it going to be 20 years from now? The most expensive as an organization money to receive and to take in is cash. It's because the liability of holding the cash, the depositing of cash, the training of employees to hold that said cash, the transfers from department to department. The easiest is credit. It's the cheapest for us as an institution to take the credit as opposed to the dollars in cash. Now, that wasn't that case 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was just an assumed cost. It was an assumed sort of way of doing business. And that 3.5% or 3% or whatever credit cards were charging was eating into the bottom line because that 3% of holding cash was assumed. But imagine where there was no cash and you're all doing that 3%, and you're not having that cost of service, whether it be training, whether it be liability insurance, whether it be all these other different factors that hold that. And you get to the point that the cheapest way to do business as an institution is credit. It's credit cards. And in 15 to 20 years from now, it'll be even more so. So, I mean, I'm not looking at it from sort of a kind of a bleeding heart perspective. I'm looking at it as sort of a business manager of the, looking over the county and how do we make it the most efficient operation possible? I could go forward with passing these fees on and saying that we need to pass it on as an equity issue, as somebody paying for one document is paying a slightly tiny fraction of a percentage more or less because somebody else, the person next to them, is paying with a credit card. But those are always going to fluctuate. And if anything, it's moving to the point where cash is more expensive to maintain and hold than credit. But that's just kind of my thought on it. And where are we going to be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? But, I'm at the will of the board. I kind of want to hear what everybody else thinks, but Commissioner Stubbs, I got to the same point as you from a different from an ministerial perspective. Other commissioners wish to discuss this. Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to add that I've noticed over the last, I don't know, it's more recent than 5 years ago. Maybe COVID had something to do with it, maybe not, but it's not strictly the low budget retailers that are doing this. I hate to think the people I'm doing business with are all low budget types, and they're tacking it on. If you want to charge your meals at some of the better restaurants, you're going to pay for it. And it's again, I appreciate the convenience for me to be able to do that. And if it's a convenience for them also, that's okay too. But I think it's something that's here to stay and it's going to grow.
More commissioners? Well, I guess we'll wait back for that research unless administration, you want us to take sort of a determination or any direction. No. Okay, we'll wait back for corporate counsel to figure out the finalities of that. But moving on, computer keeps on going out. Apologize. Okay, resolution supporting Michigan Senate Bill 657, 658 to amend Chapter 9 of the Michigan Penal Code 1931, specifically Section 50. Basically, I'm going to do a very 1,000-foot level of this, and correct me if I go off base, Kevin, please. But this allows for, there's a lack of motivation, I would say, for animal control agencies throughout the state to get involved in neglect cases because there is no avenue to charge the owners of the animals, neglected animals, for the cost of kenneling these animals. This bill, which has bipartisan support in Lansing, would allow them to collect, to charge people that have been charged with neglected and abused animals while they're awaiting trial or awaiting the court's decision, to have to be obligated to pay for the kennel fees. That's in essence what it is. Correct? Am I wrong on that? Or Is somebody here from?
Yeah,
Circuit
we
Court?
have Director Ensign
Oh,
here.
that
who
would
can
be so much better.
Provide a better overview
Oh
of
my
that
gosh,
for
that'd
us.
be very helpful.
Director, would you mind coming up?
Thank you.
Good evening, board. So it's a bonding process that allows us to charge a bond for an animal that's being held for a court case when it's a neglect or cruelty charge. So currently, these cases can take upwards to a year. A lot of these individuals could be evading prosecution. So they sit while we wait. Being able to do the bonding process, if they fail to either post a bond or request a hearing, then after 14 days, they're automatically turned over to our care. And then we can either readopt out, send through rescue, euthanize, whatever the manner may be, but basically gives us a quicker resolution for that animal.
Thank you. And the reason for the expediency on this is they're voting on this. No, what is the reason for expediency? They're not in session, are they? Or,
I think, Chair, the expediency, there's a, the local, or not the local, the state organization, the Humane Society wanted us to kind of sign on to a letter or some process they're going to be advocating to the state level. So, or at the state level rather. So that's kind of the expediency of this.
do commissioners have a problem? It is not our traditional thing, seeing as this is being non-controversial. Do commissioners have a problem putting this on the 7 o'clock agenda tonight? What's that? Yep, okay. Okay. Well,
I move that the board, acting as a committee of the whole, at a request by Animal Services to approve a resolution in support of SB 657 and 658, amending 1931 Public Act 328, known as MCL 750.50, to the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting agenda for December 5th, 2023, under new business.
motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Okay, it'll be on our new business. Next is a discussion on proclamation honoring Maddie Jordan Woods. This will be voted on at following procedure. It'll be voted on in our meeting on the 19th, but just an option for everybody to read. Any questions? All right, it's 5:13. I'm going to take about 5 minutes of your time. I've been working with Administrator Catlin a little bit on this, just from, a 1,000,000-foot level. And before we go down any farther down it, I kind of wanted to make sure we're not spinning our wheels and wasting our time trying to, if this is something that's not a priority or something that the board would want to pursue. When I mentioned that a couple meetings ago that we haven't given a increase to our pensions since 2001, 2002. It's been about 22, 23 years. I was curious before I even said, yeah, we should do something, or no, we should not do anything. But what I would really like to do is get numbers on what it would cost us. And administration is kind of just started to look at it before he spends a bunch of his time, or finance spends a bunch of their time going. I wanted to make sure that the board, this is information, and this is, something that you guys would think that was worthwhile to get back. My rough 100,000-foot calculations put a 1% retroactive at about, close to $750,000. I don't think we can do that. But the questions are, what can we do? And then I did have one question for corporate counsel, I guess, is if we were to go back and revisit pensions, are we obligated to give the same percentage for every year retroactively, or can we give 0% some years, or can we give certain percent? I mean, are there rules to that? And I know I put you on the spot, and I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm just going to say, I suspect there are, and I would have to look into it, but I
Okay.
certainly can do that if you'd like me to do that.
Yeah, I mean, is that something that the board would want to get information that we can take a look at in a subsequent meeting? Commissioner Shrubs.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, in general, I'm in interest of broader and better compensation, and including those for our retirees. But just some follow-ups for administration. When we engaged the Siegel study, they really reviewed the total compensation package, including retirement benefits. And I don't recall in the discussions at that time that our retiree benefits were determined to be lower than they should be. And I know there's a lot of discussion within local government about, sort of making sure that we have our retirement systems well-funded and we're well-positioned in light of that. And I want to keep us there because ensuring, livable wages for retirees is important, but also ensuring it's sustainable is very important as well. Because we have a lot of volatility as we go out a number of years, particularly as life expectancy will continue to hopefully lengthen. So I don't know, administration, if you have any thoughts now, or potentially we could follow up outside of session today about sort of what was identified as, the quality of our retirement package for employees at this time.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Strebs, board. So what was reviewed in the Siegel study was more total compensation regarding current employees. So it didn't take a look at actual retiree. It didn't take a look at the retiree compensation. It took a look at total compensation package and how competitive we were in our retirement benefits compared to other comparables that we reviewed.
Yeah, I think if there would be a big difference in compensation for somebody that say retired 2 years ago, as opposed to say somebody that retired 20 years ago, they'd still get that multiplier based on what their salary was 20 years ago, length of service, and then they would not have gotten an increase in the last, let's say, 20 years, or a last increase in 2 years if they retired 2 years ago. And I hate to call it COLA because there's no way a defined benefit would ever promise or could ever substantiate COLA, because a defined benefit is a defined benefit. But there have traditionally been adjustments throughout the 80s and 90s. There were adjustments, whether it be 1.5%, 1%, somewhere in that neighborhood. Never what the rate of inflation was. But we stopped doing those adjustments in around 2002. And our contribution into our RIC, or into our retirement investment committee, continually decreased as a general fund obligation from the county over those last 22, 23 years, because as our funding level got higher and higher and higher percentage, there was less money that we had to contribute. Now, it is in our policies that we should be evaluating our pension policy every single year. I've been on a commission for lots and lots of years that we never even discussed it, or it never even came up. But it certainly is something that, I don't want to go 21 years, 22 years again without either saying yay or nay, or we can afford it or we can't afford it. But ignoring it is certainly the worst of the three options, I believe. And trying to find out what we can do and what we can't afford. And, it's certainly, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be what I want to do. We won't be able to afford what I want to do. But we certainly should be, in my eyes, looking at the numbers and seeing what makes sense, what's fair, what's equitable, what makes a long-term retiree. And quite frankly, doing this does sort of help a little bit of the morale, I think, with current employees, knowing that when they do retire, that the board is going to start maybe a tradition of every 5 years or so many years looking at this and seeing if an adjustment is necessary or feasible or necessary. But that's just kind of where I'm at. It's kind of trying to rectify something we haven't done in 20 some years at the county, but I think we need to bring it to the forefront, at least bring it into the light of day. So, Commissioner Hepler?
Thank you, Chair. We have talked about this a little bit. I was approached by a couple of former employees a while back, indicating that there was concern for this and that we should be looking at it. They were going to approach us on it. It didn't happen, but I think it's something that we should take on. They were our employees. They were the backbone of our county. That's what keeps this county running is our employees. I'm very much in support of looking at this, seeing what we can do, whether it's doing something in the near future or some kind of percentage or something or something. But yes, I definitely feel that it's appropriate that we review this, and we probably should be reviewing it more often. So thank you.
And to jump into something that's on the consent agenda, I think this falls perfectly into, once we do get those numbers back, the golden ratio sort of that we had. And but you know, we can get to that. So I'm seeing as a consensus at least to stick our toes in the water and basically move forward, get some numbers and come back to us, and we can make it a final determination once we have more information. Get nods. Okay, I think I got consensus on that. Any other items from commissioners? We don't ever have this amount of time. No closed session, so. All right, I'm going to call the December 5th, 2023 regular board meeting to order. First on the agenda is invocation reflection given by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
Thank you, Chair. Please stand. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that we have received. Please guide us in these days as we go through this holiday season and remind us of all those blessings that you've bestowed upon us. Help us help those that are in need and help us take care of our community. As representatives of this community, give us guidance to do as much as we can for our fellow citizens and around the community. In this we pray, amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Clerk Cox, will you please take roll?
Commissioner DeLu,
Here.
Commissioner Gissler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
Here.
Commissioner Morales.
Present.
Vice Chair Ray is absent. Commissioner Strebs,
Here.
Chair Taylor, Commissioner Wheeler is absent. 7 present.
Thank you. Communications, Commissioner DeLu, can you take us through communications?
Yes. We have a memo from Chad Ensign, who's the Director of the Animal Services here in Kalamazoo County, requesting organizational support to sign in support for SB 657 and 658, amending anti-neglect statute MCL 750.50 and 750.50B. Resignation letter as medical examiner from Joyce DeJong. And the Kalamazoo Township Board of Trustees will hold a public hearing on December 11th, 2023.
Thank you. Any other communications? Thank you. Proclamations, Commissioner Gissler, will you do item D, the Kimberly Oakley one? I want to do the next one if that's all right. Do you have item D? Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. I was just going. Yeah, can you do Kimberly Oakley?
Sorry, thank you. Whereas Kimberly Oakley has served the citizens of Kalamazoo County for 25 years as of November 30th, 2023. Whereas Kimberly Oakley has faithfully served as a public health technician, and whereas the County of Kalamazoo wishes to acknowledge and honor employees who have longevity under the umbrella of county government, since it is through longevity that expertise in the employee's particular field is achieved. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge with gratitude the many years of dedication and service Kimberly Oakley has imparted to the citizens of the county and offers its best wishes for many more years of mutual association.
Motion and support. Will you take roll, please?
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gissler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Yes. Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Strebs,
Yes.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, the next motion, I'm going to relieve my gavel for a short period of time, and I'm going to read it from from up front. I will say this is a real honor. When I first got on the board, Dina kind of took me under the wing. I was a 23-year-old kid that didn't know any better, and she kind of put me in my place and showed me how things work. So this is thank you, Dina. Whereas Dina Sutton has served the citizens of Kalamazoo County for 25 years as of November 30th, 2023. Whereas Dina has faithfully served as administrator's executive coordinator, displaying unwavering dedication and steadfast commitment. Whereas during her tenure, Dina Sutton has diligently worked alongside 10 county administrators, showcasing her agility, adaptability, and invaluable experience. Whereas her contributions to various process improvements have greatly enhanced the efficiency of agendas, advisory bodies, and board operations, illustrating her forward-thinking approach and dedication to progress. Whereas she has established and implemented numerous procedures and systems that have fostered stronger collaboration and synergy between the Board of Commissioners and all county departments, ensuring smoother and more cohesive operations. Whereas the County of Kalamazoo wishes to acknowledge and honor employees who have longevity under the umbrella of county government, since it is through longevity that expertise in the employee's particular field is achieved. And whereas Dina Sutton, with her hallmark of approachability, has consistently been an indispensable resource within the county, championing the successes of others through her unwavering commitment to mentorship, guidance, and assistance, further exemplifying her dedication not only to the tasks at hand, but to the very heart and soul of the Kalamazoo County organization. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge with deep gratitude the many years of dedication and service Dina Sutton has imparted to the citizens of the county, and offer its heartfelt best wishes for many more years of mutual association and continued success. Thank you.
Is there support? Okay, it's been supported. Roll call, please. I am. Roll call. Oh,
Commissioner Gessler.
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Strebs.
Yes.
Chair Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu. 7 yes.
Thank you, Dean.
thank you.
Good evening, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Ray, Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, and Board of Commissioners. I would like to thank the board for recognizing me for my service with the county. During my tenure, I have worked with some wonderful people. I have developed some amazing relationships and connections. I want to personally thank County Administrator Catlin, Deputy County Administrator Cole, and Deputy County Administrator Smith. And a special thank you to Carol Babcock, who has been my pillar for almost the last 12 years. Most importantly, I would like to thank my family, especially my children, for all of their support over the last 25 years. Thank you.
Right. Next on the agenda is the chair will entertain a motion to approve the November 21st, 2023 draft committee of the whole and regular meeting minutes. Moved and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written. Moved by Morales. Support by Commissioner Mazer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Next is public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the Board of Commissioners. Please give us your name. You don't have to give us your address, and you have up to 3 minutes. Seeing none, any pre-recorded calls? Okay. Consent agenda. Since Commissioner Ray is here, I'll take us through the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to request for approval of an ARPA advance payment request from Playground L3C in the amount of $21,740.65 for payroll and engineering environmental expenses. Request for approval to appoint Andrea McCubbin to the Fair Council 4-H representative. Request for approval of a building closure of courts and office of prosecuting attorney to support the Judge Charles A. Pratt Justice Center move from Crosstown to Michigan Avenue courthouses. Circuit Court, a request for approval of a grant agreement with Southwest Michigan Behavioral Health to assist in the funding of the Ninth Circuit Court problem-solving courts. District Court, request for acceptance of State Court Administrative Office grant award contract with SCAO and 2 to delegate authority to the District Court Administrator to serve as the authorized official in SCAO grant system. Request for approval of contract with Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. And I lost it. Finance, thank you. Request for approval of accounts payable and payroll disbursements. A request for approval of 2023 year-end budget adjustments and transfers. Request for approval of a contract with Fifth Third Bank for procurement card, P-card, credit card program. Request for approval of position elimination, creation, housekeeping for IT support staff position. Request for approval of 2024 budget position changes. Request for approval of financial policy, fund balance, golden ratio. Health and Community Services. Request for approval and signature of amendment number 1 with WMU Center for Disability Services from the Senior Millage Fund Balance. Housing, request for approval and signature of a grant agreement with Kalamazoo Valley Habitat for Humanity for the Housing Millage Single Family Category Ramona Project. Request for approval and signature of a grant agreement with Kalamazoo Valley Habitat for the Housing Millage Single Family Category 3 Affordable Homes Project. A request for approval and signature of a grant agreement with Kalamazoo Valley Habitat for Humanity from the Housing Millage Rehab Single Family Category. Human Resources, request for approval to amend position start date to support election workers. Sheriff, request for approval and signature on police protection agreement with Charter Township of Pavilion. Request for approval of and signature extension of police protection agreement with the Township of Oshtemo. The chair will entertain a motion that all motions be voted on in one time and being considered by a consent agenda by the board.
So moved.
It has been moved by Commissioner Streb, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. All those in, actually roll call vote.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Yes. Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Strebs,
Yes.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, unfinished business and general orders. The chair knows of none. New business, non-consent. Commissioner Morales, you want to read item Z or the last one, the non-consent to accept the 80-20 rule?
7077.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Request for approval of resolution to accept the 80-20 rule as outlined in PA 152 of 2011.
Okay, there's a motion and support. The reason I put this on new business non-consent, not that I don't think that we should follow the 80-20 rule. I think that's a good rule of thumb where employees contribute 20%, employers contribute 80% of healthcare. That's traditionally how it's been. What I don't like is the state usurping authority by dictating to us how we run our healthcare systems. So this is kind of just the reason I would still direct HR and still try to let HR and let administration know that the 80-20 is a good policy, but I think it should be a good policy because we came up with it, not because it was directed by Public Act 152 that we technically need a 2/3 majority vote to go against an 80-20 rule. So that was my opposition to it. I just thought it was more philosophical in nature, that I just don't particularly like the state telling locals what to do.
Agreed.
So that's kind of just my 2 cents. So I'm going to be voting no on this, but when I vote no, I just still want administration, everybody to know, I still want to do an 80-20 philosophy at the county, but I don't want to be bound by it by state statute.
I got a question.
Angelina.
Thank you, Chair. Statutorily, we have 3 choices. We can accept the 80-20 rule. We have to do that by written resolution, and that's the one before you. We can agree to a set cap, which is capped by statute. That is another option. We have not budgeted for that. We budgeted for the 80-20 for the next upcoming year. Our third option is to entirely exempt the county from the 80-20 rule by statute, which we need a different resolution to do or a motion. But again, financially, we've budgeted for 80-20 and we have to take one of those 3 actions.
So it's an opt-out provision, not necessarily you're forced to opt in.
Exactly. You have to take one of the 3 actions, and the resolution kind of lays those 3 out and says, as proposed and drafted, is this motion would be the 80-20 is being proposed to be will comply with that versus making a motion to opt out, and that's the 2/3.
Commissioner Straps.
Thank you, Chair. So for administration, if option 1 of section 3 of the statute, the hard cap, does it require the employer to fund all the way up to the cap, or it can make a budgetary decision below the cap? It just limits the amount that we're allowed to contribute to healthcare. Am I understanding that correctly, or counsel?
That is correct. We cannot exceed the cap. And there are some risks associated with that in terms of what counts as the contribution, is my understanding. And so that's the 80/20 is more flexible option.
Then additional follow-up. And then option 3 for section 8, the exemption, that would give us full flexibility. We could fund it at 80/20. We could fund employee healthcare at 100% if we felt like it. We could fund it at 50% if that's what the budget dictated. So that exemption option is the one that really affords us the flexibility to do what we see fit and is affordable. The question for council requires a 2/3 vote. If entertained by the board, it will require a revised resolution. But is it 2/3 of those present and voting, or 2/3 of those serving? Whereas tonight we only have 7 members present.
I will confirm against the statute. I just need a moment, please.
Yeah, I would lean towards option 3, go with 80/20 because that's what we budgeted. That's what we should do. But just tell the state, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I think we budgeted for 80/20. I think we should go with 80/20, but I would like to be exempt and just say the state, you could be in charge of state employees. We'll take care of ours. I got Commissioner Hepler and then Commissioner Morales. He had his hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I totally agree with you. And I kind of was thinking if we voted this thing down, could we turn around and then create our own resolution at 80/20? And basically it's ours, not the state's. I'm just thinking out loud. So, but I agree with you 100%. I don't like the state telling us how we're going to run our county.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. I think, I'm on that same wave. I just fear that in the future, minds might not think like us. And I would hate to see it be 80/20 for the employee coming out of pocket. Is that what I'm understanding about this 2/3 vote, that it can change and it won't continue to be 80/20? And we have that autonomy to do that?
I can try to answer it, corporate counsel. If I mess up, please correct me. But no, what that does is gives us the flexibility that, yeah, future councils could go in and say, we're gonna, employees, you only have to do 10% or 5% or 3% or 20%. But we can't go, but we don't have that option unless we tell the state we're not following but we also can tell the state we could go lower as well. We can go to 70 or 60. So you're right. It would give us flexibility to go in either direction, but it would be our decision as opposed to the state's decision.
So for me, I just worry about that component, that in the future, some board may come in and be like, we want 50/50 and it's not affordable. I love my healthcare system under the one I'm under, which is the 80/20. But I guess once she gives us as council gives us some more information, I could have a more definite answer. I am totally in agreement with you with not letting the state make decisions, as we saw what happened to the elimination of, I won't say a fellow elected official, but once, boards and people start making decisions, it for me is too, I can't think of what I'm trying to say, but it's too risky. So I would support, us being in sole control of how we put it, but I just fear that some people might come in and be like, we're not doing 80% anymore.
That's a good question in that, maybe corporate counsel, is this something that we would necessarily have to do each and every single year? So the next board would still either have this option whether or not we do it. This is just a decision for this next 2024, correct?
You have to do it. The statute requires that the board make a determination every year as to one of these three items. They have to do it before the plan benefit year begins. It is a 2/3 vote of the governing body. Again, not that helpful of language, but the governing body typically would constitute the appointed members of the board. So your total number, 2/3.
Well, since it's only for 1 year, from what I'm hearing from the board is, I think it'll be it's sounding almost like unanimous. Everybody's kind of either going, wants to do that to the state anyway. Would it be possible for us to opt out of this 80-20 requirement and then just tell HR that we want to set our own 80-20 rule? Could we do that instead of voting for this or voting this down?
So you've already established and approved a budget, and so the budgeted amounts will apply to the extent we budgeted at 80-20. And so here we need a revised resolution to exempt ourselves, which I am happy to begin drafting, but I don't know how long the remaining business of the board will take for me to write that and try and do that quickly.
Commissioner Straps.
Thank you. Council, with the prepared resolution before us, it would seem that the revision should be somewhat simple. The fourth whereas, the last part of the sentence is stricken, Section 4 Act 80-20, and instead replaced with Section 8 exemption, the language which is already included in the resolution. Okay. I mean, so that's what I would propose the amendment.
Well,
And we've already budgeted.
then the chair we've already budgeted, so it doesn't make any difference for this year. It's only a 1-year time anyway, so it won't be able to affect other boards, at least unless they start doing what we're doing now and then move it the other way. But yeah, the chair will entertain a motion to table this 80-20 rule as outlined in Public Act 152 to a date uncertain, or do I have to have it postponed? Yeah, the chair will entertain a motion to postpone the resolution to accept the 80-20 rule as outlined by PA 152. If this postponement passes, then this motion just dies. That gives corporate counsel time to prepare a option 3. Is that correct, corporate counsel?
Yes, would you be anticipating that this is at the next board meeting? I mean, I can make that adjustment right now and have the document in front of you.
I think we could just do it right now. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can do
just
it
let
right
me-
now. We'll do it right after members' time.
Yeah, let me just modify the resolution and I can get it substituted. Is that-
Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
As I was consulting with Deputy Administrator Cole, I think that we don't have our HR director here. I think that there might just be implications to doing what we're wanting to do tonight with that. I mean, for all we know, and I just don't know this yet, it could have implications on other programs that we're involved in within the HR realm. And we just don't have the ability to check that right now.
Fair enough. We can do it at their next meeting. I see no urgency, I think it has to be done by the end of the year, correct? So it'll have to, by the next meeting enough time to, okay, well then that gives you 2 more weeks, Angelina, to draft that. Yeah, there's a motion to postpone and there was support by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Correct, 19th. But postponing, you don't have to have a date certain, do you? Well, originally my intention was to just kill this original motion so that you would have time to come up with a new motion and it would just die in postponement or tabling or whatever appropriate place where motions go to die. Oh, well. Okay. So how do I, so we have to vote this down now that there was an original motion made. We can't table it or postpone it.
You gotta use your mic.
I preferred it better, Deputy Administrator, when God spoke to me in Dina's voice. So, but happy to use the mic. So you have a main motion on the floor. So there's main motion. Commissioner Gissler likes main motion. Your subsidiary motion would be your motion to postpone for a time certain, and then you put a date in there. So you've got your motion on the floor and you're dealing with it by applying a subsidiary motion saying, I move to postpone to a time certain, which is December 19th. That's your subsidiary motion.
Yep, Chair will entertain, well, there's already a motion to postpone it to December 19th, correct, clerk?
Who moved that? Did someone move that?
We got support from Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, but I think Commissioner Stebbs has kindly agreed to move that. So any discussion? Can I do a roll call vote on this? Thank you.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Stretz,
Yes.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gissler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. 7 yes.
All right, that is postponed to the next meeting. Next up, we have a public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the Board of Commissioners. Please give us your name, and you don't have to give us your address, and you have up to 3 minutes. Seeing none. Reports of officers, bodies, administrators, controllers. I'll go first. Good meeting, short meeting, quick meeting. We got a lot done. I think we're moving in the right direction. I hope everybody enjoys their holiday season. Spend time with your family and friends, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the 19th. Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
Thank you, Chair. I too feel that things are going very well, and I appreciate your hard work and the board's hard work and our administration's hard work in keeping us on task and getting a lot of issues taken care of. I too also wish everybody a happy holidays and a safe one. Be with your family and friends. Think of your fellow workers out there and the workers that serve our county. Also our military and fire, police, and ambulance folks that are there daily protecting us and serving us. When you see them, take a moment to thank them for their hard work and have a safe week. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Kevin, really quick. I forgot that Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Isaiah Williams to the KCTA. Okay, no, yeah, yes, make a motion.
I make a motion.
Before we start, there's one person, Isaiah Williams, had broad support from everybody. And then there were the two others that got votes, Ayers and Miss Moore. And so we'll do that one second. We'll do the Isaiah Williams first, and we'll do the other one second.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the board appoint Isaiah Williams to the KCTA.
Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Next.
All right, I move that the board appoint Deshauna Moore to the KCTA.
All right, there is a motion and support. Clerk, will you take roll call, please? Is there any discussion on this? There were two people that were on there, so it was between Ayers and it was tied 3-3 when I tried to garner consensus. So Commissioner Straps.
Thank you, Chair. Just again, quickly, as I articulated earlier, I'm currently serving as board liaison for the KCTA. I think that Ms. Moore is a good fit for the organization, bring valuable community connections and perspective, and I would really encourage my colleagues to support her candidacy forward. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Straps,
Yes.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
No.
Commissioner Gisler,
No.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
No.
3 yes, 4 no.
All right. Will you read the next motion, Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move that the board appoint James Ayers to the KCTA.
There is a motion and support. Discussion. Seeing none, Clerk Cox, will you please take roll?
Commissioner Straps,
No.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
No.
5 yes, 2 no.
Okay, the motion carries. Then I already did my stump speech, so Administrator, Controller Catlin. Yes, Council?
Under new business during the committee of the whole, there was a motion made, seconded and passed and approved to add to our agenda the approval of the resolution for animal services in support of that. So it got added to the agenda. That was the motion. I don't believe we addressed it under new business to actually approve the resolution.
Oh my
All we
gosh.
did is add it to the agenda
I'm
under
sorry.
new business.
I thought it was in our consent agenda.
Nope, it was added per Commissioner DeLu's motion. It was added to the new business section because it was a motion from the floor essentially.
Okay, Commissioner DeLu, do you still have that motion?
So he doesn't have a motion to approve the resolution. Someone just would move to approve the resolution.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution that was discussed in the committee of the whole.
I make that motion.
The motion is made and support. Clerk Cox, will you please take roll?
Commissioner Straps,
Yes.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, and I apologize, Kevin. Now it's your turn.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Commissioners. I'll be pretty brief tonight. I wanted to inform you that so our DEI Director, Alvin Gray, has worked with in assembling or compiling some data as provided by HR and worked with our Public Information Officer to develop the 2022 demographic DEI data for county employees. So we're reviewing that now and we'll have that sent out either on or prior to the next meeting. So you all will be able to have a chance to review that. And then hopefully as we go on from now on, we'll have that data to you, hopefully first quarter in previous or in future years. Lastly, just wanted to really express my gratitude to obviously all the county staff. We're releasing a new newsletter, fourth quarter newsletter pretty soon, sometime either late this week, early next week. And my utmost gratitude to Dina Sutton. She does a phenomenal job for this county, very supportive of just everyone. Has been a huge help to me in my position. It's funny, I often get teased that I do way too much work on my own and don't delegate some of it. So she gets on me about that, but she's been very helpful to me, deputy administrators, to county staff, the board. So we're super appreciative of her, and I was happy that we were able to honor her tonight with that proclamation for her years of service. Hopefully you all enjoyed the new Justice Center. If you'd like to get in there and get a more in-depth tour, we were happy to set that up with the court administrators and the prosecutor's office. So just let us know. The media will be in there touring this Thursday. So there will be a news article, I'm sure, from the news outlets on that. And we're continuing a lot of work over there. There's some punch list items. That's with any building that ever gets built, there's always punch list items. So we'll be working with our owners rep, Tower Pinkster, and CSM on those things. But we're happy that building opens to the public next week. And so, it's very exciting. $94 million construction project coming to fruition. So happy to entertain any questions. Thank you.
Krebs and Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Administrator, for your updates. I just want to ask further about demographic data. So I know the board has discussed a desire to have some demographic data on our advisory bodies. And I'm wondering if we have yet to convene to collect that or attempt to, and if that could be included in ongoing demographic data that's shared with the board and the community.
Yes, that's an excellent question, Commissioner Krebs. I can work with Director Gray to begin working with the advisory body liaisons to begin compiling that information. Absolutely.
Commissioner Hepler.
Thank you, Chair. How did we come out on the budget on our project over here? Are we still under budget or over budget or sort of in the middle? Just asking for a friend.
No, that's
No, it's a-
that's a great question. So we're at this time, I'll say I'm not 100% certain on where the actual numbers lie with regard to specificity and the exact number, but we are within budget. We've have used a little bit of, well, not a little bit, I would say probably 80% of contingency. That was owner's contingency and construction contingency. However, those were budgeted amounts. But we're definitely within budget. I just don't have the actual numbers in front of me. So.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. You indicated, Kevin, that you're going to be producing DEI numbers. Or is that going to be a quarterly kind of report that you're planning on putting out? Not monthly, I would hope.
Yeah, so this will, Commissioner Gissler, this will be an annual report. So
Annual.
hopefully by first quarter of each year, this one, with the addition of the new DEI director and transitioning some of those job duties and collaboration, the report's coming out a little later, obviously at the end of this year, but we hope by the first quarter of 2024, we'd have that demographic data for 2023 for the board to review.
And we'll look at it again next January of 2025 or thereabouts and look at 2024.
That is correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, Commissioner DeLu.
I too want to thank Dina for her services, although I'm not 23 when I started on this board, but she was just as helpful to me as I'm sure she has been with everybody. And she's always been there for me when I've needed some assistance. And secondly, from this board and the administration, 2 weeks from tonight, I want to see more Christmas ties. So I tried to lead the way tonight. John, maybe you could even find something, but thank you.
Commissioner Gissler.
Dale felt it necessary to say that so you wouldn't think he's a humbug. I can't say enough about Dina. Everybody's going to say something about her. I'm not here 23 years like you are, John. I'm not a newcomer, but I'm somewhere in between, and I don't know how the operation could succeed without her. She truly is invaluable. I did put on everybody's desk open house. It's going to conflict slightly with the Kalamazoo, Discover Kalamazoo open house down at Bell's, but it's not very far from the new Comstock Township Hall to Bell's. So go here at 4 and you'll be at Bell's by 4:30 anyway, which is when I think the Discover Kalamazoo Hootenanny starts. And one reminder, I'll keep doing this till next June, that if you are going to be going to Orlando, please get one of these from either me or the airport director or somebody, because you can save $25 per on any travel completed to Orlando and back by the end of June. Thank you.
Yes, over the holidays as well. Commissioner Mazer.
Well, I too want to thank Dina for all of her help. She's been in her positive attitude. She's delightful to work with. And then also thank you, Kevin, for that, putting together that tour today. They've done an outstanding job. So thank you.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. Missed the tour, but I heard they have better chairs than us. So hopefully new chairs go into our next budget. Just want to uplift our healthcare professionals out there with the rise of RSV and different things going on. I was under the weather for a while. No COVID, but it was awful. So let's keep those folks in mind and just be sure if you don't feel good, just stay at home and get some rest. Shout out to Dina. Dina's like our auntie Dina. Like she knows, she is a gem. She knows so much information. And anytime I call or text, I have it right away. So Dina, we appreciate your service and for keeping us on task. Over the weekend, myself and Administrator Catlin, along with City Commissioner Decker, had the opportunity to sit down with Congresswoman Slotkin and show off our good work regarding housing. We visited Zone 32. And she was really impressed that we are the only county that has this millage going. And I pushed really hard for her to look to us as we look to other counties when we're looking at budgets and different projects, as she looks to us to have a solution for the state of Michigan. And I think she bit a little bit. What do you think? So I want to shout out our administrator, his staff, Deputy Smith, for really putting some key items together for discussion that we had. It was really robust. And I know some people think, hey, they're coming into town, it's election season. She didn't ask us for anything. She didn't say donate. She said, what are y'all doing to help? And then we got some other answers as far as when folks don't qualify for consumer rebates, and it has something to do with the federal government. So we couldn't blame consumers anymore. Now we got to blame the federal government. So very robust meeting. And I think that's it. Have a good night.
Commissioner Strauss.
Thank you, Chair. Well, as everyone has said, congratulations to Dina. She's a joy, and we're really proud of you. And you don't look a day over 22 years of service. So still happy and beautiful, and we're happy we have you here. Just want to say thank you to all of my board colleagues, to administration, for the personal and professional support during the time of grieving for my family. Very much appreciate all of that from a number of my colleagues and staff. And thank you all for the work that you've done through this year. And I'm looking forward as we come to this time of transition, the next year before us, time of opportunities and problem solving. We've done a lot this year to be proud of, and hopefully we can work to maybe recap some of that good stuff at our next meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. Just because it's you, Gessler, but
Yeah, I would feel very remiss if I didn't say something about Joyce DeYoung tendering her resignation letter. There is somebody that really hauls the mail, sort of behind the scenes. We get an annual report from her, but I feel particularly strong about her because I had a chance to tour her facility with her as the tour guide twice in the last year, and she is phenomenal. We're going to miss her.
she will be missed.
Thank you.
Well, with that, we are adjourned.